Well, live look now at the House committee that essentially serves as the gateway to a House vote on the debt deal. It's a key first test for the plan that now has growing opposition from the GOP. Republican Congressman from Florida, Byron Donalds, is against the deal, and he just got out of a meeting with Speaker McCarthy. Congressman, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. We appreciate you rushing to the camera. What did you and the Speaker talk about, if we can ask?
Well, we actually were talking through a lot of the elements of the deal, things that were concerned to myself, some of my colleagues here on the Hill, and also just trying to figure out really what comes next. But, you know, at the end of the day, this is a bill that I'm just not going to be able to support. I know that there are members on Capitol Hill who are not going to be able to support this deal, and we'll see where it goes from here. And let me just go ahead and jump to the next question before you get there. I do understand that many Americans, frankly, are concerned about our nation's debt and also concerned about what happens if we do not raise the debt ceiling here. My position is very clear that if we're going to raise the debt ceiling, we have to have sizable cuts in order to do so. Because whether we're 32 trillion or 35 trillion or 39 trillion, if we don't cut our spending down, that amount of debt is going to crowd out every other piece of spending that our government does, and even the stuff that the American people are going to want government to do. We got to get fiscally responsible. That time is now.
So you're still a no on this. You know, it wasn't long ago, a couple of hours ago, you literally called this a, quote, crap deal. Has your position on that stance softened at all, Congressman? Did you come toward the Speaker in any capacity?
No, my position hasn't changed. And look, you know, with respect to Speaker McCarthy and the members of his team that were in the negotiating room, I do understand all the dynamics that they're trying to juggle to find a solution for our country. But the number one problem overall is that we have a president and we have a Democrat Party who are completely inserious, not even not serious, they're inserious about actually tackling the fiscal issues of this nation. And unfortunately, what it's going to require, in my view, are members who are going to have to take tough stances on a bill like this, because this is not going to solve the fiscal health of the country. It's only going to kick the can down the road and make those problems much bigger. And at some point, unfortunately, it could be relatively soon, that thing is going to come home. That debt bubble is going to come home, and every American is going to suffer as a result.
So the Wall Street Journal editorial board disagrees with you, Congressman, and they wrote the following, reads in part, quoting here, the deal is a significant victory for GOP priorities in return for raising the debt ceiling that had to be raised anyway. Mr. Biden tried to jam the GOP into a clean debt increase, but Republicans forced him to the table when they passed the limit, save, grow bill. The lesson is that political unity pays. Unity right now is not the key word that you're using.
Well, frankly, neither party is unified up here on Capitol Hill right now looking at this deal. As I understand it, there may be 60, there may be 100 Democrats who are for it, which means the majority of their party aren't for it. And you have Republican members who are both for and against it. So there's no such thing as political unity going on right now. I will say that. Number two, Joe Biden's temper tantrum of not wanting to negotiate was completely illogical, and nobody took it seriously. Frankly, even Joe Biden didn't take it seriously. That's why he showed up at the table. But number three, and more importantly, the Senate, we don't know where the Senate's position is on this because they've not done any homework. And we have a White House that is not serious about long-term spending. And I would say push back to the Wall Street Journal, which I do read. I would tell them, at what point are you going to curtail the baseline spending in our country so you have an opportunity to at least stabilize your debt position and in some respects begin to pay that debt down? This bill does not do that. And so that's why I disagree with the Wall Street Journal.
And I think the Wall Street Journal, I hate to speak for them, in fact, I won't, but I think the counter argument would be that there's no cap on raising debt, but there are spending caps, right? There are spending caps in this, and it's important to a lot of people on the Republican side to have those spending caps in place.
Well, the spending caps are going to be, there's spending caps on non-defense discretionary. This year, it'll yield about $12 billion in cuts. And now that part is true. That's the first time that spending has been cut from a previous year to a new fiscal year. But the defense number is what Joe Biden wanted. The number for veterans benefits is from Joe Biden's budget. Statutory pay-go can be waived by Shalonda Young, the OMB director, whenever she wants to. The work requirements in and food stamps. Many people are now saying that the expansion of other categories makes that generally a wash. And if you're going to basically cut $12 billion in year one, forget the out years because you can't bind a future Congress anyway. Yeah. So the out years don't really mean much to me. Then if you only are going to cut $12 billion in year one, but you're going to give Treasury the ability to borrow $4 trillion, essentially what you cut was the deficit, was the interest payments you need in order to make the payments on the debt you just borrowed.
Yeah, listen, it's a fair assessment. Congressman, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Anytime.